Welcome back to Packs and Picks. In the previous video, we opened 6 packs of Shadows of the Galaxy for Star Wars Unlimited, and we sorted through the cards, had a look at the pool, and in this video, I'm going to go over the deck that I built from those cards and talk a little bit about some of my thought process and how I came to some of the conclusions that I came to. So first things first, just take a look at the leaders again that we had. So we had 2 copies of Boba, so we've got 2 heroism leaders and 3 villainy leaders. And one of the things that I like to do when I'm setting up my sealed pools and looking at my options is just to see what are things that I can't go into. And in this case, I can't really build a red-green villainy deck or a blue-red heroism deck just because my leaders don't fit the bill for that. Now, there's probably some sealed pools out there where you've got enough of one color that you could probably do a splash into an off-color aspect, but for this pool, and I imagine for a lot of pools, we're not going to be able to do that. So it's kind of nice, I feel like, to start off and just be able to put a couple of options off the table entirely, because especially in Star Wars Unlimited, it's really easy to start to mix and match and really get bogged down with a lot of the choices that you have in deck building, which is part of the fun of the game too. So these are the 5 leaders that I had to work with. I'm not huge on Dr. Aphra in Limited. Maybe you could build around her in Draft, but in Sealed, you're just really kind of beholden to the cards that you open and not getting enough of the discard synergies or those good cards you can recur back from your discard pile. I feel makes it hard to build with Dr. Aphra. So going into deck building, I was really looking at Cad Bane or Gar Saxon, which is kind of nice that Cad and Dr. Aphra are the same colors, so you're not really missing out on too much by not looking at Dr. Aphra. So those are our leaders that I had to work with. And before I lay out the deck, I wanted to point out one kind of interesting thing. If you remember from the sealed pool video, we got some pretty sweet cards in the pool. We got 2 legendaries and some good rares. But when it comes to sealed, these are kind of deceiving rares. So Sugi, Enterprising Lackeys being double aspect, you gotta always have to add that two cost penalty, because the chances that you're going to be able to build a monocolored sealed deck are not very high. So with Sugi, do you want a 6 cost 4/6 that sometimes has Sentinel? It's kind of not a great card at 6. Enterprising Lackeys is going to be a 6 cost 5/5. And granted, it can always come back, but it's going to cost 8 when it comes back with that Smuggle 6 requiring 2 command icons. Similarly with DJ, do you want a 3 cost 3/5, just a vanilla 3 cost 3/5 in Cunning, because his Smuggle is 7 and 2 Cunning symbols, so you're going to try to pay 9 to bring him back with Smuggle. And then Finalizer isn't a double aspect card, but it is 11 resources. So in Sealed, if you don't open enough options to ramp up into something like Finalizer, then you're looking to, this card is going to be kind of dead in your hand for the vast majority of the game. And I think really in a normal sealed game, you're looking at like turn 9, I think, 9 or 10, before you can bring Finalizer out, and that's assuming you resource every turn. So while you're probably going to win the game if you do resolve Finalizer, the chances that you're going to get to that point might be a little slim. So we had 4 of these rares in our pool, but for me, it's kind of like 4 duds as far as it comes to sealed play, which makes it a little challenging when it comes to building the deck. You kind of got 4 of your rare slots that are taken away. But that's just the roll of the dice sometimes. So those are the rares that kind of going to sit in the sideboard for this sealed deck. So the deck that I ended up with was a red-green villainy deck, and I'll go ahead and lay that out here right now. And we'll talk through some of the interesting things about this deck and some of the challenges that I have with the pool. So one of the things I like to do in Star Wars Unlimited, looking at the pool, is look at my heroism and villainy cards and just see, is there anything that really wants to pull me into heroism or villainy? If I don't get a lot of heroism or a lot of villainy, then that can help me make a decision to just move on from them entirely. Like if you remember from the sealed pool video, we only had 2 command villainy cards in the pool. So if those aren't really exciting me too much, if there's not a lot of command excitement in the pool, then I can kind of just write off command villainy from the get-go. So here's the version of the deck, or the pool, the deck that I built from the pool that I'm going to go with. So it's a red-blue villainy deck, and what we're going to do is we're going to play Gar Saxon as our leader. So we've got that as our leader. And some of the things that I like about this deck that I didn't have in some of the other colors is a lot of interaction across the board. So you can see we've got 2 Daring Raids, we've got a Detention Block Rescue, we've got a Guild Target. We've just got a lot of ways that we can reach out and we can do some burn spells to the opponent, which I really like. And that's something that the other aspects, the other color pairs didn't really offer too much. One of the downsides of this deck is it's very lacking on the early turns of the game. So our first hands are looking at our mulligans. We only have 6 units to play at the beginning of the game. I would like to see a few more in my decks and some more exciting 1 and 2 drops, but here we are. So that's definitely a hole in the deck, but because of the low cost interaction we have in some of our events, I feel like we can kind of supplement our lacking units with some more interaction with those events early on. The good thing though is that we have some good stuff at the top end of the curve that we can build up to. So I like a lot of Chrysanthemum. This is a card that performed pretty well for me at pre-release. So Chrysanthemum we've got at the top end of the curve. We've also got Trandoshan Hunters at the top end of the curve and Clan Challengers. We've got a little bit of a Mandalorian synergy here with I think 7 or 8 Mandalorians with Mandalorian Warrior, 2 Deathwatch Loyalists. We do get to play one of our rares in Survivor's Gauntlet here. So a rare space unit as well. And then of course we got a Rival's Fall at the top end, more removal that can help us interact with our opponent. So that's the version of the deck here. The other big contender I felt was Yellow-Blue Heroism, and some of the notable cards in Yellow-Blue, things like the Armorer is another Mandalorian synergies. We've got a lot of Mandalorians in Yellow-Blue Heroism version of the deck, so I think that's definitely a contender for the other option here. We also have things like Millennium Falcon, Emphas Nest. We get to play another one of our rares, Tobias Beckett. And with like Millennium Falcon and Emphas Nest, you've got like a little ambush synergy, ambush minigame going on with this version of the pool. The one downside though, kind of like I mentioned with the red-blue deck, is you're really lacking a lot of interaction in the yellow-blue version. And that's something that I value a little more highly, at least right now, being able to reach out card out of hand and interact with our opponents across the board. So that's the version of the deck. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this pool, what you think of the deck. Would you go with the yellow-blue version, or do you see something else entirely in the pool? Let me know, and let me know how you're enjoying Shadows of the Galaxy so far. Stay tuned because we've got more sealed decks coming up. See you soon.